Well, not quite the Arctic, but the GTA is getting the coldest weather we've seen in 8 years this weekend. Although it's snowing now, there's even more coming Sunday. CP24 has your cold weather guide this hour.
One of the FBI's 10 most wanted, Olympian snowboarder Ryan Wedding, has been taken into custody. CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan has more on how the Ontario athlete became one of Mexico's alleged most notorious drug dealers.
And a familiar face is going to be back on the ice tonight at Scotiabank Arena. Mitch Marner back for the first time since leaving the Leafs to become a Golden Knight.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Saad.
And I'm Melissa Duggan. Welcome to Live at 5. Toronto expected to be hit by a winter double whammy this weekend with frigid temperatures and heavy snowfall in the forecast.
Yeah, the city's already in the grips of a deep freeze. Temperatures are set to tumble even further tonight. Environment Canada says beginning this evening and into Saturday, it's going to feel like the minus 30s with the wind chill. Similar conditions are expected Sunday. That's when significant snow is also expected to come down. And people are being urged to stay indoors if possible and dress in layers if they have to go out.
Oh, you sure can feel it right now. The city's fleet of plows will be out in force on Sunday. Officials are warning 30 centimetres or more could come down. The city was hit by a major snowstorm, of course, just over a week ago that brought more than 20 centimetres to Pearson Airport and about 50 centimetres to Scarborough North. Despite that, Mayor Olivia Chow says Toronto is ready to handle the latest blast of winter weather.
We're monitoring the conditions closely and have initiated our citywide response plan. When snow begins, trucks will lay liquid brine ahead of the storm, but however, because it's cold, it's going to be difficult. We will have salt trucks and plows. We'll clear all the roads, starting with major routes, TDC lines, and emergency service access point.
And for more on how to stay safe during this extremely cold weather, we're joined live by Dr. Howard Shapiro, Toronto's Associate Medical Officer of Health. Thanks a lot for joining us. So what's the first thing you want to hit home to people about going outside this weekend if they have to?
So to be prepared and try and dress as warmly as you can, cover up as much of your body as you can, and see if you can limit how much time you're actually spending outside.
Yeah, when it comes to frostbite, doctor, I'm wondering what we should keep in mind there. I was walking downtown today and just felt that wind just hitting my face. I put my mitts up in front of my face just because I was like, okay, this feels like too much right now.
Yeah, so you're right. Like the wind, the temperature, both contribute to the risk of frostbite. And as you mentioned, you try to cover up. So if you can dress warmly, that really helps. So that's wearing, like that person there, right? They've got a hat on and their hood up. So they're doing something to cover themselves up as much as possible. Wearing mittens instead of gloves, dressing in layers. If you have a coat that's got not only like insulation, but a windproof outer layer, those are all things that can really help.
Dr. Shapiro, what about children and babies? How does this change for them?
They're more vulnerable than an adult. Their bodies are much smaller, so they're going to cool down a lot quicker than an adult. And especially with an infant or a baby, their ability to regulate their temperatures isn't as well. So you need to be extra careful for children that are very young.
I wonder, as a professional, too, what doctors are seeing when this wintry weather, this deep freeze hits. People might be going to the hospital for various reasons. I wonder what your kind of top concern is.
So you mentioned already the main health effects that we see tend to be things like frostbite. Another really big concern is hypothermia, where the body's temperature actually drops. And that can range from, something fairly mild to life-threatening, depending on how severe the temperature drop is. And then also people that have heart conditions or lung conditions, they can have those things made worse by the cold temperatures as well.
And Dr. Shapiro, when it comes to frostbite, hypothermia, at what point should people seek medical attention? Go to the ER or see a doctor, call a nurse?
So I think it varies. For frostbite, if you've been out a while and your fingers or toes are really numb, they look white, they feel like they're actually frozen, then I think that is a sign that you should get some medical assessment. For hypothermia, it's also going to depend on the severity, and you may not, when you might need medical attention, you may not have the presence of mind to know that. But it's really, once you get to a point where it's affecting your ability to think, it's very severe, particularly if you're really feeling cold, shivering, have chills. But it'll be other things to do, like I said, with your thinking or ability to respond. That's an indication that you're really in danger.
Listen, we haven't had cold like this for quite some time, so I appreciate that rundown from you, Dr. Howard Shapiro, Toronto's Associate Medical Officer of Health. Thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
And for more on how Toronto residents are coping with the extreme cold, let's check in with CP24's Arda Zakarian. Arda, I hope that you've been spending time indoors just as well to warm up.
Okay, so I have my car, so we come in and out of our car. However, let me just tell you what happens in the car. I'm dressed like a Michelin man, and I sit in the car like a statue. I'm not able to move, and I just crank the heat and just try and stay warm. So it's not really fun times in the car, even though, I'm getting a little bit warmer. But you know what doesn't get warm? Your feet. Your feet never get warm. The tip of your nose also is freezing. But what is the worst thing about this cold event that we're happening is the wind chill. The wind chill, get this, is going to go down to minus 30 to minus 33 tonight. That is absolutely insane. And when that wind hits, especially on your face, it stings. But we've been talking to people about how they're coping, getting through this day. Here's what some people said.
It's very, very cold.
Yeah.
This is the coldest day in Canada for me.
Yeah?
I've never felt this cold. No, it's freezing.
You know what? I agree with you. I haven't felt it this cold in a long time. I can't even remember the last time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I work downtown, and instead I'm working tonight. I've got to travel in minus 45 degrees tonight. I'll tell you, my cheekbones are already cold in minus 25.
My tears are freezing if you can't see. It's actually freezing. I can barely feel my face right now. Yeah, I'm tearing up. It's bad.
I'm standing on a mountain of snow. How much bigger do you think this mountain can get? Well, we're about to find out on Sunday when we get a whole bunch of snow in our city. So we'll report back on how big this mountain can be. Maybe people can mistake it for an actual mountain very soon. Back to you.
Arda joining us live from inside a snowbank. Thanks so much for that. Listen, it's all anyone's talking about here today. Let's get a check on the commute now with CP24 traffic specialist Adjwa and Sia Yeboah. Stay warm over there, Adj.
Oh, staying very warm. I'm inside, so I'm doing well. I'm not in a snowbank like Arda. But as you do make your way out this hour, here's where you want to avoid. We have a couple of problems as you try to get home this hour. So southbound on the 427, this is just as you make your way through Eva Road. It is a collision blocking the right lane as well as the right shoulder as well. The ramp that usually takes you to Eva Road has been closed because of this collision, but it's moving well. The express lanes are moving very, very well. Then on the westbound at Gardner, this is just as you make your way through Park Lawn. It is the stalled cube van that does have the right lane blocked. That's creating a slowdown from before York Bay Yonge. We had issues on the eastbound side, which were in the two right lanes through York Bay Yonge. That did all clear, and it remains a slow go on the 401 across the top of the city. Not spotting any problems. Continue slow as you head in towards Durham. Outside of camera view on the northbound lanes of the 404 up at Davis Drive, crews on scene of a collision that is blocking the right lane.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
Well, sending it over to Samantha TC at the TTC Control Center. Samantha, hearing there are diversions on certain streetcars?
Thanks, Adjoa. So yes, we do have something going on our surface routes. The 509 Harbourfront and 510 Spadina streetcars currently have no service from the Union Station to the intersection of Queens Quay and Lower Spadina, while our crews clear ice buildup that's built up in the tunnel near Union Station. Now, shuttle buses are running to cover streetcar service in that area. Now, looking at our other surface route that is on diversion right now, the 34 Eglinton East buses are detouring eastbound around the intersection of Eglinton and Warden because of a water main break in the area. Now, for turning over to subway service, everything is running smoothly underground with no delays reported on lines 1, 2, or 4. Line 6 is also running well this evening. Now, that's it from us at Transit Control. Back to you in the newsroom.
All right, live from the TTC Transit Control Center, Senior Communications Advisor Samantha Tisi. Thanks a lot. Well, there will also be some disruptions for GO Train riders to keep in mind this weekend.
Rail service is being modified on the Lakeshore West Line to accommodate track work there. There will be no service between Oakville and Mimico GO on Saturday and Sunday. There will be special trains, though, running hourly between Mimico and Union Station. GO replacement buses will operate at Oakville and Clarkson GO stations, then run express to Union.
Well, the snowstorm that we're expecting this weekend, that's going to have an impact on operations at the Toronto Zoo.
The attraction says it will be closed on Monday to give crews time to clear the snow. It will also be It also warns that it may impose additional closures or shut down early on Sunday, depending on conditions. The zoo says the safety of its animals, staff, and guests remain its top priority.
Well, Metrolinx's chief executive is defending the Finch West LRT, which has been plagued by delays and shutdowns since coming into service last month.
Commutes on Toronto's newest transit line have been disrupted numerous times due to switch issues and, of course, poor weather. The issues have forced passengers back onto buses instead. The TTC operates the LRT, but Metrolinx owns and maintains the line. The agency CEO told News Talk 1010's Deb Hutton the problems are due to maintenance protocols and not design flaws.
The issues that we've been working with the TTC hand in hand on in respect to Finch, they have nothing to do with whether or not this system has been well designed and well built. This isn't like the experience that we saw in Ottawa, where you had basic questions of wheel manufacture and rail installation and derailments that had to be explained. What you're seeing right now essentially is us trying to make ever more mature maintenance processes that go with this line, particularly in a Canadian winter.
Metrolinx and the city have said that they're both working to improve service on the line.
It is now 5:12, minus 14, feeling more like minus 24. This is Live at 5.
Up next, alleged international drug kingpin and former Ontario Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding has been arrested.
Suspected drug kingpin Ryan Wedding, one of the FBI's most wanted fugitives, is now in custody.
The former Canadian Olympic snowboarder was flown to California today. This is after turning himself in yesterday at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. The 44-year-old is accused of running a violent drug trafficking organization in Mexico that moved roughly 60 metric tons of cocaine into the U.S. every year.
Wedding is also accused of orchestrating several murders, including in the GTA. Jagtar Singh Sindhu and Hashabad Kar Sindhu were shot and killed in Caledon in a case of mistaken identity in November 2023. And Mohammed Zafar was murdered in Brampton over a drug debt in May 2024.
Well, FBI Director Kash Patel spoke about Wedding's arrest today.
And just to tell you how bad of a guy Ryan Wedding is, he went from an Olympic snowboarder to the largest narco trafficker in modern times. He is a modern-day El Chapo. He is a modern-day Pablo Escobar. And he thought he could evade justice. But these brave men and women put together a prosecution package, put together an investigative package, put together an operations strategy. And here we are today, bringing him to justice for trafficking hundreds of kilos of cocaine and also for the murder of innocent civilians.
No single agency or nation can combat transnational organized crime alone. The arrest of Ryan Wedding is a result of strong, trusted partnership. I want to thank the men and women from the FBI, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the U.S. Department of Justice, Los Angeles Police Force, and all the U.S. and Canadian law enforcement that took part in this. They spent countless of hours and many sacrifices to lead us to where we're at here today. And without the results, we can proudly say that our communities, our countries are much safer with the arrest of Ryan Wedding.
And for more on the arrest of Ryan Wedding, let's go live to CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan. Okay, Steve, I want to get an understanding from you about this timeline, what happened, how he came into custody.
Well, we heard from the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, that he surrendered to an American embassy in Mexico City yesterday. Now, that is odd because he's been on the lam, if you will, for 10 years. There's been sightings of him throughout Mexico, and the Mexican authorities would follow up on all of those tips, and he always managed to evade capture. So these are only allegations, of course, that have not been proven in any court, but they are very disturbing nonetheless. So the FBI put out a $15 million reward as well. Now, the director of the FBI was asked today if that reward played any part in Wedding's capture or him surrendering himself, and he refused to answer that question. But you can't ignore the timing of this. Perhaps there was some pressure put on him to surrender to alleviate some of the pressure that the Mexican authorities are putting on the cartel down in Mexico and in Mexico City. But he did surrender after escaping or evading capture for 10 years. So there has to be some more to why. What prompted him to turn himself in? We just don't know the answer to that right now. And again, Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, would not say what led him to surrender or if that $15 million reward had anything to do with it. But money has no friends, man, and money talks. And the best way to get information is to offer large rewards. And maybe that's what was done in this case.
I wonder how things work. You know, we're talking about 3 countries being involved in all of this: Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. How do those borders come into play? How is that involved in kind of the next steps here?
Yeah, that's a great question, Melissa. And given the fact that he was transported from Mexico into the United States within 24 hours, it certainly suggests that they had some sort of extradition treaty or extradition agreement already in place for him to be captured in Mexico, although it was in a U.S. embassy, and then transported to the United States based on the strength of warrants that they had sworn for his arrest. So this would explain why he's going to be dealt with in the United States first, because he was captured under the strength of their warrants. Now, there are allegations here. I'm going to suggest that there are information before the court charging Wedding, again, just allegations, but charging him with a variety of different murders as well. So once the charges are done in California, the Crown can proceed with the extradition agreement, and if granted, and they typically are, he will then be sent here to this jurisdiction where he'll answer to those murder charges. That's a long process. I've been involved in those before. There's a lot of work done by the Crown's office to get that going, and then once that's rolling and he's then committed to return here, then the officers in charge of the investigation will fly out to California and they'll return him here. He'll answer to these charges, and that could be some time from now, depending on how long they get to the charges out in California.
Okay, reporting live, CP24's crime analyst, Steve Ryan. Well, right now it is 5:19, minus 14. This is Live at 5.
Up ahead, workers rally downtown against the Ford government's return to office mandate. What their message is coming up.
A rally against the Ford government's return to office mandate was held downtown today.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! RTO is got to go! Hey!
Ontario Public Service Employees Union members gathering to show support for remote and hybrid work. The demonstration comes after the province ended work from home and hybrid models for government employees earlier this month. The union is challenging that decision before the Ontario Labour Relations Board. It wants the mandate reversed, saying it's unnecessary and was imposed without consultations.
The question we should be asking ourselves is, who does this benefit? It doesn't benefit Ontarians, it doesn't benefit the workers, but it sure as hell benefits the corporate buddies who are getting their real estate filled again. So this isn't about better service for Ontarians. This is about protecting Ford's friends.
And Premier Doug Ford says that he wants government employees back in the office full time so they can be mentored and collaborate.
The Ontario Hospital Association says hospitals are making cuts in the face of rising deficits. The association says the sector faces a structural deficit of $1 billion. The Ministry of Health asked hospitals last year to come up with a 3-year plan to balance their budgets. Hospitals were told to immediately implement any low-risk, cost-saving moves they could come up with. But the head of the OHA says that was already happening. Anthony Dale says closing non-core inpatient services and consolidating programs may be next.
And the number of influenza cases being reported in the province is continuing to drop after peaking last month. Public Health Ontario says about 7% of all flu tests it conducted last week came back positive. That's roughly half the number seen the previous week, which was around half the number seen the week before that. About 1 in 4 tests came back positive during the peak. That's when there was a surge in demand for care at hospitals. And health experts say respiratory virus season is not over yet. Getting vaccinated is the best protection against serious illness.
It is 5:23, feeling like minus 24 with the wind. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, Mitch Marner is set to suit up for his first game in Toronto against Maple Leafs. This is since leaving for the Vegas Golden Knights. That was over the summer.
Yeah, it was special. Like I said, you guys throughout the summers and end of last year, it's something that I think if you told my younger self, I wouldn't believe it. It was a special thing to wear that Maple Leaf jersey. I always wanted to, and to be able to do it for 9 years and be a part of that team and to play in that arena that I grew up trying to go to watch Matt Sundin, all the legends really play. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was something that I'll be able to look back on and share with my kids and just how fortunate I was for that.
Mitch Marner back in Toronto for the first time since leaving the Leafs to become a Golden Knight.
For more on how fans are reacting to Mitch Marner's return in Toronto, let's go live to CP24's Beatrice Vaisman at Scotiabank Arena. Are we expecting cheers? Are we expecting boos?
I think a mixed bag, Malin Bakari. Listen, Mitch Marner generates different kinds of reactions from Leafs fans. Either the fans love him and appreciate what he did for this team over 9 seasons, or they love to hate him, especially when the Leafs did not do very well in the playoffs, and a lot of the blame was put squarely on Mitch Marner's shoulders. But here he is back home for the first time, and it is not in a Leafs jersey. I just met Liam, Stacey, and Tom, who came in from Port Dover to go to the game. This is your Christmas present, buddy. I mean, what are you most excited about tonight?
So Mitch Marner was my favorite Leaf player before he left, and this is my first time watching him live play, so I'm really excited.
That's awesome. What are you expecting to see tonight? Do you think the fans are going to be warm and welcome to him, or not so much?
I think he's going to get a bit of both. Yeah.
What are you going to be doing, buddy? Cheering? Booing?
Probably cheering.
But not if he scores.
No.
What does it mean to be able to come here as a family to cheer on Mitch or at least experience Mitch Marner, a hometown boy coming back to the city for the first time in a different jersey?
Yep, it's pretty special. Me and Liam loved Mitch Marner. I think he's a great playmaker, and he was an awesome asset here with Toronto. So it's exciting to see him live, and bit of both on my side too, but I'll be cheering him a little bit, I think.
Yeah, do you think he got a bit too much flack from the fans? Like they either loved him, or if something went wrong, they was instantly turned their back on Mitch Marner?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a bit of a tough town to play for, and they take some flack, but yeah, I think he did really well. Contributed a lot to Toronto, and big reason why they got where they were, I think, at the time. So.
Stacey, Mitch said in a press conference earlier that this is just another hockey game. Do you buy it? Is this just another hockey game? Is this more?
No, the pressure is palpable. Everybody can feel it. I can't imagine he's not feeling it, but it'll be really exciting, I think. So,
yeah. What are you going to do when you see him on the ice?
Oh, I'll be cheering. We'll be cheering. But we still want the win.
Still need the win, right?
Also, my first Toronto game. Yeah. I went to Pittsburgh a couple days ago for a hockey tournament, and I went to a Penguins game, and that was my first NHL game.
There you go.
But I truly, Maple Leafs are my favorite team.
Yeah.
And it's going to be my first Maple Leafs game.
Yeah. Awesome. Little Mitch Marner in training. Thank you guys so much for chatting. Thanks so. Enjoy the game. Can I get a Go Leafs Go? Go Leafs Go.
Go Leafs Go.
There you go. Thanks so much. Obviously, we're hearing a lot of Go Leafs Go. As for Mitch Marner, yeah, some boos, some cheers, some mixed bag expected here at home at Scotiabank. Puck drop, 7 o'clock. Back to you guys.
Oh, it's a big night for that family indeed, and for lots of Leafs fans and Mitch Marner's fans. Thanks so much for that. Be appreciated. It's 5:29. It is minus 14, feeling more like minus 24. This is Live at 5.
And Toronto is under 2 weather alerts tonight, a cold warning and a winter storm watch. We're going to have live update on the conditions coming up.
Brr, it is cold in the GTA. We are getting the coldest weather we've seen in 8 years this weekend. And although it's snowing now, we're going to see more of it on Sunday. CP24 has your cold weather guide this hour.
And one of the FBI's 10 most wanted Olympian snowboarder Ryan Wedding has been taken into custody. And CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan has more on how the Ontario athlete became one of Mexico's alleged most notorious drug dealers.
And a familiar face back on the ice tonight at Scotiabank Arena. Mitch Marner back for the first time since leaving the Leafs to become a Golden Knight.
This is Live at 5.
Hello, I'm Melissa Duggan.
I'm Bakari Savage. Welcome to Live at 5. Well, Toronto is expecting to be hit by a winter double whammy this weekend. Frigid temperatures along with heavy snowfall in the forecast.
Oh, you can feel it. The city already in the grips of a deep freeze. Temperatures set to tumble even further tonight. Environment Canada says beginning this evening into Saturday, it's going to feel like the minus 30s with the wind chill. Similar conditions expected Sunday as well. That's when significant snow also expected to come down. People are being urged to stay indoors if possible. Dress in layers if you have to go outside.
Okay, and for more on the extreme cold and winter snow watch, we're joined live by Frank Segliniak, coordinator of the University of Waterloo Weather Station. Frank, what do you want to start off saying about this particular storm that's coming here?
Well, for the storm on Sunday, we've heard about this big storm coming into the States. We're kind of getting the north end of it. So that's why it's all going to be snow for us, where it's going to be freezing rain and other things down south. But unlike typical, where we see more snow, say, in the lake effect areas up on the shores of Lake Huron, this one we're actually going to see more snow around the GTA area, partly because it's further south and partly we're just going to get a little bit of a reversal of the winds. So we're going to get some of those winds off Lake Erie, which is going to enhance the snow a little bit more. So actually going to be a little bit more snow further towards the GTA than it is in the outer regions. But the important thing is how well the authorities are going to do cleaning up that snow for the Monday rush hour, because it's going to hit Sunday during the day and then kind of peak in the afternoon. And then we'll see how much it can get cleaned up by the Monday morning.
What are you expecting in terms of the amount of snowfall we're expecting? I know we've been seeing this build up south of the border about this massive storm system. Their models seem to have been changing a little bit. I wonder if we have any kind of firm numbers for Sunday here.
Yeah, well, in the last couple of days, the storm is models have kind of pushed that storm a little bit further north, which is why we're getting more and more snow totals. And so seeing anywhere up to like the 25, 30 centimeter range, like right around the edge of the lake. And then it goes down to 15, 20 as you get a little bit further. But it's going to be a major event. And again, just those wraparound winds are going to make it just a little bit worse right around the lake shores.
Okay, should we treat this or think about this any differently than any other major weather event?
Right now, it looks like it's just, thankfully, just snow. It's when you have that mixed precipitation sometime with some freezing rain in there first, and then rain, you can get really messed up with some ice. So this, at least, one thing about the cold is it's all going to be snow. So we're just going to have to deal with the snow. And again, it'll depend on how well it can be cleaned up in the hours and days afterwards.
One thing that we're talking about today, obviously, is this cold weather that we're feeling right now. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I don't know if it's a point of pride or a point of sadness, but some of the coldest air on the planet is actually going to be centered right over Ontario. So usually cold air, of course, is over the North Pole. And every once in a while, just because of the way the winds shift, that cold air will kind of go down the earth a little bit, and this time it just happens to be over us. It was very cold out west the last couple of days. Now that's kind of moved a little bit further towards the east, so it's going to be very cold temperatures, especially tonight. Tonight's the peak of it, but even after that, we're still only getting highs in like the -8, -9 range, and still probably wind chills approaching -20 for the next couple of days. So it's going to be time to think about and plan when you have to go outside.
Okay, Frank Segliniak, coordinator of the University of Waterloo Weather Station. Thanks a lot.
No problem, guys.
Well, the city's fleet of plows is going to be out in force on Sunday.
And we just heard why there. Officials are warning 30 centimeters or more could come down. The city, of course, was hit by a major snowstorm just over a week ago. That brought down about 20 centimeters to Pearson Airport and about 50 centimeters to northern Scarborough. Despite that, Mayor Olivia Chow says Toronto is ready to handle the latest blast of winter weather.
Once plowing is complete on Sunday or Monday, crews will begin removing the snow from the street and sidewalks. Surge staffing will increase as needed. All city services are now coordinated for our Emergency Operations Center, a key improvement from last year. Transportation services, TTC, police, fire, and paramedics are working together as one coordinated response. So remember, we are having more staff, faster snow removal, more new equipment on the road.
Okay, let's check in with CP24's Arda Zakarian, who's joining us live out in the elements. Arda, what do you have?
Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Don't step outside. Let me tell you what it's like out here. It is absolutely brutal. It's painful, even dangerous if you stay out here for too long, especially with that wind chill. It's going to feel like minus 30 to minus 33 with the wind chill tonight. And when it hits you, any exposed skin, this area right here, it hurts. I spoke to many people today on how they're keeping warm.
I'm keeping warm by just wearing multiple layers. I grew up here in Canada, so I'm pretty used to the cold. I heard it's going to be like, what was it, negative 50 on Saturday, right?
It's going to be, with the wind chill tonight, it's going to be minus 30 to minus 33.
Oh, wow. Okay, then I'm going to wear more jackets. I have another puffer jacket at home. I'll just put that on top. Just wear more layers. That's all I could say.
Oh, I'm just wearing more clothes. Doubling up on sweaters.
I want to know who did what. Why are we all being punished? But take a look at this mountain behind me. A huge mountain of snow that's been accumulated over this past winter. All the snow being piled up here. Who knows how much bigger this is going to be? Maybe double the size by Sunday because of all the snow that we're getting. So message here is just be prepared. Be prepared when you go outside. I'm wearing multiple layers, 3 hats, 1, 2, 3. I'm wearing a hood too. So that's keeping me warm here, not here. But if you're going outside, make sure that you're dressed appropriately and do what most people are doing. Get in and out quickly. Don't spend X number of minutes outside because it's not fun. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Arda. Not fun, but you seem to be having a good enough time. I appreciate that. I think a lot of people are going to be hunkering down for the weekend also to stay warm.
Well, a multi-vehicle pileup has shut down Highway 11 between Barrie and Aurelia.
The collision involving 30 to 40 vehicles happening in poor visibility around 10:30 in the morning. At least 3 vehicles caught fire from a gasoline tanker that initially was on fire. According to Aurelia fire officials, 6 people were sent to hospital.
Okay, it's 5:39. Let's get a check on the commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Angela Nziayabois.
Well, Bakari, it's been a bit of a rough and tumble drive for commuters trying to make their way home this hour. A lot of problems still happening and still dealing with a lot of delays on this frigid Friday. So if you're headed out on the 401, making your way eastbound, just in the express through Kiel, it is the left lane as well as the left shoulder that is blocked. It's following this ongoing stalled vehicle. So a bit of a backlog just as you navigate through. And then southbound on the 427, we are dealing with a stalled transport truck. So the right lane and shoulder is blocked through Derry, Rexdale. And it looks like longstanding problems still with us. Westbound on the Gardner, this is just as you make your way out of the downtown core through Park Lawn. It's the right lane blocked to the stalled Cube van, and delays remain on the DVP, but at least problem-free from Don Mills up to the 401. I know we're speaking of Barrie and Highway 11, but if you're on the northbound 400, just at Bayfield, crews on scene of a collision that is blocking the right lane. I'm going to send it over to Samantha TC at TTC Control. Just checking to see what's going on, Samantha. Hearing there's still delays and detours on streetcars.
Thanks, Adjoa. So the good news is those earlier issues we were experiencing on the 509 Harbourfront and 510 Spadina have just cleared. So it's full streetcar service service into Union Station again. Now, looking at service underground, we did just have a brief delay on line 1 at our Rosedale station for an emergency alarm activation, but that has also cleared, so it's smooth sailing on all of our underground subway routes and line 6. Now, looking at service a little later tonight on line 1, there is a planned subway closure starting at 11 p.m. tonight between St. George and St. Andrew stations for planned station work. Now, shuttle buses will not be running for this closure, but we got you covered with east and west bus and streetcar routes that travel through the downtown core that can get you around in the area. Now, this closure will be taking place tonight as well as tomorrow, but the good news is it has been canceled on Sunday in light of the forecasted snow. Now, that's it for us at Transit Control. Safe travels, and back to you in the newsroom.
Nothing like being on those streetcars when you're wearing all of those layers. TTC Transit Control Center Senior Advisor for Communications, Samantha TC, joining us. Thanks for that. It is 5:42, feeling like minus 24. This is Live at 5.
Up next, alleged international drug kingpin and former Ontario Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding has been arrested. A suspected drug kingpin, Ryan Wedding, has been arrested in Mexico.
For a closer look at the latest developments in this manhunt, we're joined live by CP24 crime analyst Steve Ryan. Steve, I wonder if you're surprised that we have this arrest in this case. I mean, this is a very wanted fugitive here.
Well, eventually, all of those that are wanted by the police raise to the surface. Sometimes it takes longer than anticipated. So in this particular case, this guy, Wedding, had been seen throughout Mexico for the past 10 years, and he did surrender yesterday. And we did talk earlier this last half hour about the quickness in which he was able to go from Mexico into the United States. And I just spoke with somebody familiar with this investigation and familiar with the process. And what happened, guys, is that the Mexicans basically kicked him out. They kicked him out of Mexico itself. So they deported him based on the nature of the allegations that he was facing, and they didn't want him in the country, so the Americans were able to take him out within 24 hours, and that would explain now why he is on American soil. Not going to be the same process now when it comes to him coming to Canada. The Americans will try him for the charges there in the United States, and then through an extradition treaty, he'll be brought here. But that quick turnaround, if you will, from Mexico into the United States was as a result of him being instantly deported once he surrendered to the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City yesterday.
What do you make of this entire story?
Well, it's a wild story, that's for sure. You think back to, this guy being a Olympian back in 2002, and now the allegations are that he's become a drug lord, and that he's been responsible for not only multiple murders in Canada and the States, again, just allegations, but also he's been responsible, according to law enforcement, for trafficking kilos upon kilos upon kilos of cocaine into the United States and Canada in this past decade or so. So it's a wild story, but if they do have their guy, they certainly will put a dent in the cartel. And I also, just on this conversation I had with this person that was familiar with this investigation, hasn't come from official sources, but the feeling is that the cartel may have put pressure on him to surrender because they did not like the heat that the Mexican authorities via the Americans were putting on that area where they were looking for him, and that might be why he surrendered. He probably did not have a choice. When you figure he'd been on the run for 10 years, now there's a $15 million reward, now he wanders into an American embassy in Mexico City and says, here I am, after 10 years of evading capture. Perhaps there was some truth to that, and that there was pressure put on him, and that's why, in order to save his life, he surrendered to the Americans on Thursday.
More to come in this story for sure. CP24 crime analyst Steve Ryan, thanks so much for that update.
Okay, it's 5:47, minus 14. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, Mitch Marner is set to suit up for his first game in Toronto against the Maple Leafs since leaving for Vegas to become a Golden Knight over the summer. What kind of a welcome is he going to get here at home? Back to you.
By the freezing temperatures.
No, Bakari, we aren't. The Ontario SPCA is sharing tips to keep your dogs safe in the cold weather.
All right, the agency suggests that owners take their animals outside for short intervals. Consider coats as an extra layer of warmth. And use a damp towel to wipe your dog's paws and underside. And remember that salt and snow melters can irritate your pet's paws.
I'm seeing a lot of animals with those booties out there right now. Earlier, we spoke to Dr. Linda Jacobson with the Toronto Humane Society.
So it varies dog to dog. The smaller they are, the thinner their hair coat, the shorter the time should be that they're out. If you've got a husky that's a healthy 5-year-old and they want to play a little bit in the snow, you can give them a little bit of time, but I would really limit it in this weather. What you're looking for is really a dog shivering, slowing down, looking like they want to come home. Those are the main signs. In an extreme situation,
Dr. Jacobson says that it's also important to wipe your dog's paws thoroughly after walks to make sure that there's not snow or ice built up between their toes.
CAA reminding drivers to be prepared for the frigid conditions. They say it's important to ensure your car battery is able to weather the conditions and say you should have an emergency kit in your vehicle in case of a breakdown.
A traditional emergency kit is key, things like first aid and, things to keep you visible, booster cables if needed, that type of thing is important. But also the things that day to day we need to think about. Extra snacks, Oh, yeah. I mean, if you get hungry, you're on the side of the road or you didn't plan to be out there for that long, something to tide you over is good. As I mentioned, an extra pair of mittens, hats, blankets, things like that will allow you to stay warm if you didn't quite plan ahead when you got into the car. Really important, extra water, I mean, if you go and you don't know that you're going to be waiting, and a phone charger, key. You have to be able to call for help.
And the storm that is expected in Toronto on Sunday, it's part of a major system which is sweeping across a wide swath of the U.S. this weekend.
The shelves are pretty empty already, so people have definitely been rushing already to pick up different grocery items.
Long lines outside of grocery stores and a lot of empty shelves as people try to stock up. The National Weather Service warning of a crippling ice storm with severe weather expected from New Mexico to New England and down through the deep south as well. More than 170 million Americans are under weather warnings, and 12 states so far have declared states of emergency. Widespread heavy snow, sleet and rain, that's all expected to continue through to Sunday.
So, Melissa, those empty shelves, I can attest that is always true. That happens. Snowstorm, go to the store, buy up everything you can.
Yep.
That's it.
Extra snacks, as we heard there. Keep them in your car and in your home as well.
All right, it's 5:59, -14. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
Toronto is under 2 weather alerts as we head into the weekend, a cold warning and a winter storm watch. Keep it here on CP24 for all your storm coverage this weekend. Thanks for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.